What's up? This is Tom Fromink from twinsdaily.com, and today I shot a bunch of shorter videos and shared those and discussions on my Twitter page, TF Twins on Twitter, if you're on there, but I figured it'd be nice to repackage those and then share them with everybody on YouTube here, and the discussions revolved around number one. We'll start off with a trade package that I built to try to acquire Nolan, Arenado, and Jon Gray from the Rockies. I got it accepted on this particular online tool. I don't know how realistic it is, but check that out. Number two is speaking on the comparisons of Luis Arraez to Tony Gwynn and how valid or whether or not those are valid at all. Topic number three was the Twins' internal starting pitching options, specifically Lewis Thorpe, Randy Dobnak, and Devin Smeltzer. And then the final topic was just basically a rant that's been on my mind about strikeouts, specifically K per nine versus K percentage. If you like Twins news, rumors, highlights, please consider subscribing to the channel. Let's just get right into it. And I got a question from Dan Carlson. I think he might have been pulling my leg, but I'm going to answer it anyway. What would a trade for Nolan, Arenado, and Jon Gray take? Going down this path, I don't even think is very realistic. But let's take a look. You know, the best place I can think to look is at baseballtradevalues.com. This certainly isn't concrete. You can't money in the bank, on these valuations. And I'll show you sort of an example, a very Twin-centric example of why I feel that way. And I'm going to sort this by the Twins values. And there's a few things. This isn't the only thing, but for example, Miguel Sano is almost valued the same as Willians Astudillo. There's just no way. There's no way that those two have close to the same trade value. But again, this is the best we got. Let's keep moving. And the hypothetical I was working on earlier was Alex Kirilloff and Brusdar Graterol to the Rockies for Nolan, Arenado, and Jon Gray. And there's a funny thing, speaking of the value system, they do take into account not just the player's performance value, but also their contract. As you can see here, they actually have Gray as being more valuable than Arenado, and that has to do with Arenado's contract. It's gigantic. $35 million a season for 6 or 7 years. Basically, he has to be a superstar. If he's not, he's not a good guy to pick up. But trade gets accepted. I would do this trade. I would trade Brusdar Graterol and Alex Kirilloff for Nolan, Arenado, and Jon Gray. That makes me feel like the Colorado Rockies probably would not. I don't necessarily think that they would have much interest in Alex Kirilloff specifically. I think if the Rockies are trying to trade Nolan, Arenado, it's going to be for pitching or premium position players, catchers, shortstop, center fielders, guys like that. But hey, this again, this is the best tool that I can find that we have out there is baseball trade values. And they say they get this done. Twins fans, what do you think? If you have Rockies fans, buddies, forward this to them and see what they think. Was how much are Tony Gwynn and Luis Arraez actually alike? So that's kind of a challenging question to answer considering these two guys are playing in such different eras. But on the one hand, these are both left-handed hitters, contact-focused guys, and they're even kind of built similar, at least at this age. I kind of try to shy away from these because you're comparing a 22-year-old guy to a Hall of Famer. That's not really fair. Gwynn's an 8-time batting champ. He was a first-ballot Hall of Famer at that. So really one of the greatest hitters in baseball history in terms of just pure contact batting average hitters. And that's really one of the biggest separators right now is just longevity. Also, to be fair to Gwynn, he was also much more athletic than Luis Arraez was at this time. For someone like me who only saw him late in his career, that's kind of hard to really comprehend, I guess. But Gwynn from 1984 to 1989, he stole 206 bases. That's an average of 34 per season. He also had 4 10-plus triple seasons. So this is a guy who was very athletic, a very good outfielder in his early days. But, a fun thing to think about is Gwynn actually broke into the league at his age 22 season just like Arraez. Arraez hit 334 in his 366 plate appearances. Gwynn hit 289 in 209 plate appearances. So Arraez actually, at this point in their career, is in front of Tony Gwynn. Again, not really fair to expect him to continue and go into the Hall of Fame, but that's fun. And one more thing, this is more on the era. Luis Arraez, obviously an excellent contact hitter. He still struck out 7.9% of the time. That's an excellent number for 2019. But Tony Gwynn's entire career, he struck out in 4.2% of his plate appearances. I think if you inserted him somehow into today's game, he would strike out more because pitchers in this era are going for more strikeouts. But still, there's no way Arraez is ever going to come close to matching that. So that's a huge separator. But, it's fun to talk about, especially what Arraez could be someday. And the fact that he's in front of Gwynn is especially fun. Of the Twins' internal rotation options between Thorpe, Dobnak, and Smeltzer, who do you think has the greatest upside as a rotation option and why? So there's a few questions inside that question to unpack. He specifically asked greatest upside as a rotation option. I think that is an important piece of this question. And a guy named Kyle Fredrickson answered with Thorpe has the biggest upside. I'm going to go ahead and agree with Kyle. And to me, he has the most upside compared to Smeltzer and Dobnak. I think Smeltzer and Dobnak have higher floors. They're both, I think, better command guys. They have a little bit better idea of where their pitches are going and just the way they pitch and the way that a lot of their pitches move. I have some confidence that both Smeltzer and Dobnak are going to be good at inducing weaker contact than maybe Thorpe. Thorpe, when he has a bad outing, he gets beat up. And also, the thing about Thorpe, I'm going to kind of start off with something that concerns me about him, and mainly that's his fastball velocity. I think of him as a 93, 94 guy. That's what I've mainly seen him as in the minors, and he did show that. He hit 94 a few times with the Twins, and there were a few outings where he was sitting more 93, but I believe his average four-seam fastball velocity was 91.2. Yeah, I'm looking at it on Baseball Savant right now. 91.2. So I think that might not sound like a big difference, but I think if Thorpe's going to sit 91.2, you're getting a lot different of a guy than if he's sitting 93, hitting 94. So that kind of is also factors into that, upside versus floor. However, this is something I think a lot of Twins fans don't realize is how dominant Thorpe was in AAA. Now, his ERA doesn't really jump off the page. It was a crazy run-scoring environment this season with the AAA guys all adjusting to the Major League ball. Much more so in the PCL than in the International League, but that was still a thing. But among the 73 pitchers who logged 90 or more innings in AAA last season, Thorpe had the highest K per 9 at 11.12, the highest swinging strike rate at 14.5, and was second in strikeout percentage at 29.5. So he struck out 29.5% of the batters he faced in AAA this year. That is dominant. So, if you're looking for hope on the horizon, this is a guy who dominated in AAA, so you don't really even have to kind of dream. It's not like Brusdar Graterol where there's, X, Y, and Z that have to happen. He's got to get stretched back out. He's still so young. He's got to learn how to pitch to advanced hitters still. Same thing with Duran. Same thing with Jordan Balazovic. Thorpe is a guy who did it at the highest level of the minor leagues. So that's where some confidence comes in with me with Thorpe. But like I said, he needs to find that consistency. There's some starting pitchers out on the market, especially now that, it's not hard to imagine Thorpe being better than a lot of these guys. So I do like him. I know Twins fans are wanting the team to go out and fill out the rotation. I'm certainly agree with that. But I'm not going to be too disappointed to get to see more of Thorpe, Dobnak, or Smeltzer. Again, I think Thorpe has some good upside, and Dobnak and Smeltzer are just two guys I really like to watch pitch. Now, of course, you always want your team to be in the best position to win games, but I just find those two guys really interesting to watch. I don't blame Twins fans for sort of hoping that they acquire enough guys to where hopefully these guys aren't relied upon too much, but it'll be interesting to see if they are. I think those reinforcements are more interesting than a lot of other teams have. I guess I'll put it that way. So, what's up, everybody? I've had a strikeout conversation on my mind for a while and just kind of wanted to get this out there and off my chest, essentially. We're going to talk about K per 9 versus K percentage. I put some information up there. I do use both of these. I'm not saying K per nine should be extinct, but K percentage is such a better stat especially when you're talking about comparing players. K per nine, even myself, I'll admit I have more of a contextualized idea if you give me someone's K per nine, what that means, rather than if you give me someone's K percentage. But, if we were comparing two pitchers, here are some examples of why it is such a better stat, K percentage. Kyle Gibson had almost a full strikeout higher than Hyunjin Ryu and K per nine last year, yet their K percentages were almost the same. And I'm not going to run through each and every one of these, but the point I really want to point out is that Jose Quintana had a higher K per nine than J Happ, and yet J Happ had a better K percentage. And that's, there's plenty of examples you can find where that's the case. And you may have noticed I listed out here starting pitchers average 5.1 innings pitched per start in 2019. So what are we even looking at per 9 innings? That's a weird, context to that stat. But then I also mentioned that starting pitchers average 22 batters faced in 2019. And I'm not trying to invent a new stat here. I don't think we need K per 22 batters faced. I just wanted to give you some concrete examples of if we take a K percentage and extrapolate that out to 22 batters faced, how many strikeouts is that in an average length outing? So as you can see, I'm not going to run through each one of these guys, but really as we jump down, these look like massive differences in K percentage, and they are from each step down, but it's really only one strikeout difference. Now, the context of when that strikeout is coming is huge. So that's kind of the point I wanted to come across and just talk about. Strikeouts are obviously important. They're a way the pitcher can control the ball game. Once the ball leaves his hand and it goes into play, who knows what's going to happen. So I'm not trying to belittle strikeouts. I'm just trying to say this is an interesting thing, I think, to think about. What do you think?